Hey everyone, Mr. Hodgson here. It's been a little while, but we've been doing observations and inferences in class. So I figured we'd come out here to one of my favorite observation spots, a place called Stonehouse Pond in New Hampshire. Um, Talking about observations and inferences. So, for example, I've been observing science things for, well, 29 years. And my inference would be that there's no bad time for science. So let's go for a hike. My next observation are these footprints. Something came walking through the mud. Now, they're not clear enough, but my guess is that this is someone's dog, especially since there probably aren't any wolves out here in the woods of New Hampshire. Rock here that's kind of rounded off and doesn't seem to fit anywhere. Well, if you've heard this from me before, but my inference is that a glacier that melted about 10 or 11,000 years ago, when it melted, it dropped this rock here, and we call that a glacial erratic. Here's another glacial erratic, and I'm looking at that thing right there. That brown stuff, the brown flaky stuff, is something called lichen. And so my observation is there's lichen growing all over this rock, this brown and green kind of flaky organism. My inference is that it's actually eating this rock. And in a few million years, this rock will no longer be here because this lichen will have reduced it down to just rubble, sand, and dirt. The other thing that's kind of cool is we have a tree going right out of the rock. Unfortunately, the tree is not living anymore, but my inference is that that tree is also helping to break the rock apart by its roots growing down through the rock and into the soil. I found this plant here. It's got kind of three rounded leaves, and I think I know what it is, but let me check it out. Yeah, it's so this is wintergreen. You may have seen it in gum, lifesavers, whatever, for freshening your breath, something. So that's called the wintergreen. You can definitely smell it if you find the right plant. This is why we're here. This is Stonehouse Pond. I love the way that the trees are reflected in the water. There's a really big cliff falling several hundred feet down to the pond from this spot. My inference is that given the fact that I observed a nice rounded hill on the other side and a cliff on this side, that this was done by glaciers. That sometime around 14,000 years ago, a glacier swept through here and carved over the back side of the hill and then fell off the side here and grabbed all the rocks and created this cliff. And as it did that, as it fell over the backside of this hill, it carved out this pond, which then filled in with meltwater and rainwater and other things. So that's pretty cool piece of history. I would also say that, so back 14, 15 million years ago, we know it was an ice age. So a few thousand years after that, you can imagine that Manny the mammoth might be right here. I know that because they found teeth from mammoths not that far away from here. And it's the only real evidence we have of mammoths, mastodons, but there's no evidence that Sid the sloth or the saber-toothed tiger ever lived here. The other evidence that glaciers came through here is these rounded hills, because when the glaciers swept over the top of these hills, they made them nice and round. Anyway, so that's why we came. It's a great spot for observations. Voices you just heard in the background. There was only one other group at the overlook with me. It looked like a young couple. They seem to be in, my observation was there was a young couple sitting together. My inference is that Mr. Hodgson shooting a TikTok video was pretty much ruining the romantic moment. So I decided to get out of there. Sometimes I think it's the little things that we don't stop to notice that are really cool. So my observation here, we have this really neat white rock. That's actually called quartz. It's actually really cool, kind of a milky white color. And we have this red mushroom, and there are red mushrooms everywhere this year. my inference from that would be that it was a really wet summer. And of course, we know that's true because we lived through it. But the mushroom's a great sign too. And there's also a hole right there. I can't tell what it is. My observation is it's obviously not a hole from a bear, but it looks like it could be the size for a garter snake or a chipmunk or something that size. And it's probably where it lives. It's its home. Check out this really cool leaf that I found. It's got red and orange in it, but then it's kind of striped with kind of a brownish color. So those are my observations. My inference is that this means that fall's coming and winter not long behind. Now, if you're like me and you love to ski, that's a good thing. But if you're kind of a summer, go to the beach, hang out at the pool person, well, this probably isn't a great sign for you. My observation is there are two paths here, and only one path is on the map. Thinking my inference is maybe I should stop making TikTok videos and pay attention to the map and where I'm going, because Mr. Hodgson may be a little lost. So I hope I'm in school on Monday. Phew! Luckily I made it down safely. And luckily, unlike Robert Frost, I took the road more traveled by. Shout out to my friends, the ELA teachers, because there's also really no bad time for poetry. Anyway, made it back to the Hodgson Bugatti. You seem a little skeptical. I don't know, what observation led you to believe that I might not be driving a Bugatti right now? Anyway, maybe sense of sound, sight. You know what? There's no bad time for science. I'll see you next time.